a member of the Valley Chamber of Commerce as well. Not a member of Fuel. I'm a bit older than the cutoff, so I don't look it, and so I'll take that. I'm glad if I don't look it. So, but yeah, thank you for having me. And I've done a podcast for Fuel before, and so what I do is I'm a coach and a speaker, and I teach. I get hired by places to come in and talk about mindfulness practice and transformation. And basically, the name of my business is Align Yourself Inc., and it's getting beyond yourself and understanding who you are and what you can, what you can provide for yourself, for your life, So I do my own webinar or my own seminars as well. And although I haven't scheduled any for this year, but I don't know what the hell's going on this year, so we'll see what happens. But I do a lot of stuff on Facebook, so I'll give a shameless plug for myself. And so I have, if you want to reach out to me, I do every Thursday night. I'm on Facebook Live. I do a 30-minute. I'm also on one of my clients' channels, Facebook channel, every Monday from 8 to 9. So Thursday's 8 for me, 8 to 8:30. My Facebook channel is Dr. Lori Monaco. My Instagram is Align Yourself Inc. And then if you want to check out the Monday night, it's episodic. So it's, I think we're on episode number 6. We're going to do number 7, 6, something like that. That's Monday nights at Latitude 28 Band's Facebook channel. So anyway, but all what I'm talking about has to do with transformation and like just things that just need to be talked about, like it could be stress reduction. It could be balance, boundaries, things, just subject matters that come up. In addition, I'm adding two new shows to my lineup on Facebook. There's going to be an interview show, and I'm interviewing specifically people in their field. And then in addition, I'm doing Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, 8 to 9, we're going to do a coffee chat. And it's meant to be like fun and talking about like real issues, but keeping it light and funny. So if you get a chance to tune into that, that would be great. So the interesting thing is, so I got all that in. I got that all in to help myself advertise, but I got all that in because a lot of that came in this time period. So last year I had said to myself, part of my intentions for the end of 2019 and into 2020 were to create things like podcasts and have like regular shows and interview people on YouTube, my YouTube channel and all this stuff. And I didn't get around to do it. I didn't manage my time properly. I didn't manage myself properly. So I kept putting it off. And in fact, like Brian Tamburino and I were looking to work together for a little bit as well, but then he ended up getting busy. And so I put that aside, and then all of a sudden this comes in and I'm busier now than ever because I'm homeschooling one of my kids, and all of a sudden what dried up, all of a sudden other stuff filled in. So I got really busy. So even with the little amount of time that I had, all of a sudden all these juices kept flowing, and the creativity started to flow. And all of a sudden it opened up for me to be able to put all these together. And so that's why I thought it would be really a lot of fun to title this Creating Amidst the Chaos, because sometimes our best ideas come at the most unusual times. And if it really doesn't take a lot for you to like look out and see, like if you're watching the news or if you're online and you're just like on YouTube watching something, it's like people are doing the most unbelievably creative things. And some of that's going to go away once this all goes away, but I don't know how much of this is going to go away that rapidly. So my hope is that we still keep that in there, like you have fire departments driving by kids' houses, doing birthday runs, and you have just people dropping gifts off at other people's houses when they know that they live alone, and people like elderly people who don't usually use this type of, technology, they're learning how, and they're doing it so they can communicate with their grandchildren and stuff. So I love it. I love seeing that. And I hate using the term social distancing because we're more social, I'd say, now than we ever have been. And really, it's physical distancing. All we need to do is stay the hell away from each other. But we're we're socializing more. So don't social distance, physical distance, right? So that's a better way of looking at it. So let's talk about this. So let me get my PowerPoint started. Okay, so you have to enable me to share.
All right, sorry about that. You should be as a co-host. Does that mean you can do that?
Oh, there we go. We gotcha. Okay, so here we go. All right. Go. Okay, great. All right. So I'm gonna see if I can move us over a little bit. All right. So basically, creating amidst the chaos, aligning with your authentic self, and reinventing your future. The key to everything that we do is being authentic. And I think we're seeing that more and more. That's like the big catch term. I hope it doesn't go away because I love this term. But being authentic is what people are looking for now. It's like we're craving it. Even though people are still watching the Kardashians and stuff like that, which they're not authentic. And it's no judgment. I'm just saying it's like they're in a reality show, and we know that reality shows aren't really real. So they're performers, and their lives could be very authentic. It's just what we're seeing on TV isn't necessarily that authentic. But I think overall, a lot of us are craving that authenticity, and we want to see that in the people that we're working with and leaders and stuff. So we want to really have that, you know. So that's the big focus, is who are you right now within the midst of all of this? And how does that translate into creating something absolutely fantastic during this time? Because we're not going to be here forever, and we may be forever changed for sure. But in the end, how do we come out? Like, how do we come out from all of this? And so that's what this is all about. So, and I want to make sure that I always stay on check, because I could be long-winded, so I want to be done by 6. So here we are. It's May 20th, May 2020, right? And oops, I went backwards instead of forward. Sorry about that. We are May 20th, 2020. So what is going on? Okay, so what is going on is all of this, okay? And that is all that we can absolutely focus on, right? So that's what Melanie was saying, is that like that's become the big focus, is that we're just looking at all of these things. How many people are sick? How many people are dying? The long lines that we have to wait in, getting tested by driving up in a car. It's so bizarre. People walking with face masks where we only saw that, remember, in China. Like you would always see footage of China and they periodically would have face masks on. We've never done that before. So this is a really big thing. And then we go further. We go into the closures, you know, businesses that are probably never going to recover from this, and some that have been reinventing themselves. Empty streets that you never see, empty shelves, empty schoolhouses, empty malls, okay? People teaching their kids at home, people like sewing masks and doing things above and beyond, like donating their time and being creative and like supporting one another, which that to me is what being human is all about. It's reaching out and helping one another and being the best versions of ourselves, you know, and we can't forget about the toilet paper. So I just thought this was so cute, and it's cake. And I would buy this cake in a heartbeat. Well, first of all, I'd buy any cake in a heartbeat, but I'd be more than happy. That's the best looking and most delicious looking poop I've ever seen. So, but really this is all about creativity. Like there would have been no reason to make this cake had this not happened, right? So while we want to be honoring to the people that are really in this hard, you know, the people that are right in the front lines, that are seeing the real worst of all of this, that are working so hard, that are the people that are ill, the people that have family members that have passed away. So we don't want to make light of the situation, but what we do want to focus on is our resilience, the fact that we are going to learn from this, and we are going to create, and we're going to move forward. So these people that didn't make it past this, their lives won't be in vain. And for those that lost businesses, we're going to see like maybe we can enrich them somehow so that they can reinvent themselves and become something else. because that's what our job is. Our job, for those of us that are either working and doing okay, or if we do have time where we're furloughed, but we're still being creative instead of just sitting there thinking, oh my God, you know, this is awful, this is awful. But as long as we are being who we are, the best versions of ourselves, and then spreading it and sharing it, that's the message here. That's what needs to be focused on. And so that's what we're going to focus on with this conversation. So we're going to start off with, you know, what is it to be authentic? Like, what does it mean to be authentic? So being authentic is aligning with your true self. So it is knowing who you are at this particular time. It's knowing the good, the bad, and the ugly of you. And it is allowing yourself to just be who you are, even though you may not be happy with yourself and you want to change, but that's the first step. Because in order for you to make changes in your life, you have to be aware of who you are and you have to own it. So aligning with your authentic self, once you get to that sweet spot, the part of you that you really want all the world to see, that's the point. You want the world to see it. So whatever you say and what you're thinking and what you're doing are all in alignment with one another. So, you know, it's not like do as I say, not as I do kind of deal. It's if I say this, then I'm going to do this. And if I feel this, I'm thinking this, it's all aligned. And it's about giving yourself permission to be who you are, not worrying about what other people think, and giving other people permission to be who they are. So aligning with your true self does take some practice. And the biggest piece of it is going to be the fact that we don't always like who we are, you know, and that was me a few years ago. Like the reason I do what I do now has to do with my huge transformation. And I've said this on the podcast that, you know, I hit my rock bottom place. I hit a massive depression. I was like, I mean, it was suicide level. I really wanted to end the pain that I was going through. And then I managed to turn it around working with a therapist and then working with personal development coaches. And then once I turned, I said that was it. And I knew that this was it. This was for the money. Like I had to actually really rethink my whole entire life because I had gone through depression before and I've had a depressive episode, nothing like that. But I was 45 and I'm thinking this can't be my life. Like this is just not, I didn't even get any of the things, or I shouldn't say that. I didn't achieve most of what I had wanted to when I was younger. You know, what things that I had said that I was going to do when I was 18, 19, 20, and even up to 25, I didn't achieve them, only a little bit of it. So I said, okay, that's it. I can't do this. And so once I figured out who I was and what I loved doing, that's when I decided to become a coach. I had been a speaker for years, but I was talking about wellness stuff. I'm a chiropractor by trade, have been for almost 21 years, actually 21 years now. And I was a teacher for 18 years, post-secondary. So I love teaching and I loved helping people. I knew that. But this became my passion and my purpose. And there's no doubt. There's no doubt because I never get bored of what I'm doing and I never get frustrated and I can't turn it off. It has become a part of me and I'm glad about that. So like if I go out with somebody, I cannot turn the coach off. It comes out. If somebody needs help with something, I automatically do it because that I live it. And I have never been so happy in my whole life. Like I have never had a depressive episode since. And I'm not on any medication. Not that I'm condoning, you know, get off of your medication. That's not what I mean. I mean that for me, that worked because I finally faced what I didn't want to face. And then I let go of it. And then I decided who I wanted to be. And I became that person. And my talk is my walk and vice versa. Okay, so, and anytime if you want to ask questions, feel free to do so. We can sort of get things rolling and I'll try to leave it towards the end. So I'll go a little bit faster. So we're going to understand the two types of mindsets, okay? And what I want you to do, you might have heard these mindsets before. And if you haven't, we're gonna look at them right now. But I want you to decide where you fall into these two types of mindsets. You might resonate with a little bit in each. The key is to resonate mostly with abundant mindset. So if if you're looking and saying, no, some of that scarcity stuff, I can relate to that, or maybe you're not thinking that at this moment in time, but I want you to go back and you feel free to take a photo of this. I know you'll see our pictures and everything, but do take a photo of this so that you can go back and look at it. Or you could always, just Google search it. So if you are an abundant, a scarcity mindset, and you go back to this and you say, oh my gosh, I think there's somebody, did Brian just pop in that he wants on? So just in case he didn't get on, I think there was a couple people in the waiting room. So go back to the scarcity and look at it. And when you're by yourself and you say, oh my God, I do fit into some of this, it's okay. Don't get upset about it. The whole point of shifting yourself is to identify what needs to be changed. Okay. So let's talk about this. So mindset of scarcity is this: criticize, you make excuses, blame others for their failures. Okay. Meaning they blame others for their failures. So if they fail and they're on a team, if they won't take blame for it, they'll say it was everybody else's fault. Or it's not even on a team, it's just they blame everybody else. Hold a grudge. They think they know it all. They work from a transactional perspective, meaning that I will do this for you, but in the back of their mind, they're saying that, oh, you know what? I'll do it for you, but I'm expecting something in return. Okay. Secretly hope others fail, rarely set goals, radiate anger, keep information for their benefit because they don't want anybody else to succeed. They don't want anybody else to know that maybe they don't know as much as other people. So if they know something, they purposely hoard it. Talk about people, they either fear change or they are fear-based. So everything that they do is always worked on because deep down they're very fearful individuals. They take all the credit for their victories. So this is what I was talking about before. On a team, these will be the individuals who they're the head of the team, and the upper people say, you guys did a great job. And they'll be like, yes, I know I did a great job on this and blah, blah, blah. So they don't say it was a team effort. They have a sense of entitlement, read infrequently. And a lot of times they'll say that they do read, or they're not grateful for really too much. They're very guarded, minimal compassion or empathy. Their love is conditional and minimal to no self-love or self-respect. Okay. Now there was a time where I fit into a lot of this, and I look back and I think about it. I mean, I could look back and speak about it very openly about how much of that I fit into. When I was in it, I didn't think I did, but it was until I actually really looked at myself and said, okay, I got to like own some of this stuff. Where's this coming from? What do I need to change? And I started to look at that and I'm like, oh, I was like a lot of it. So I said, okay, you know what? I gotta change this. Okay. So to a mindset of abundance, they compliment people. They forgive others. They accept responsibility for their failures. They keep a journal of some sort. It doesn't have to be a classic journal. It could be anything, but as long as they're writing down things or typing things in their phone, whatever. They want others to succeed. They're happy for other people's success. They set goals. They develop life plans. They learn for a lifetime. They operate from a transformational perspective. In other words, what can I learn from this experience? If it's a bad experience, what can I learn from this? Even if it's a good experience, what did I learn from this? What did I gain from this? Embrace change. So they're really big on change. They radiate joy. They share information very willingly with others because they know that whatever they know, they want to share it. And even if the other person became more successful than they did, they wouldn't look at it as a bad thing, that they served a purpose in that person's life. They talk about ideas. They read every day something in some way. They give other people credit for their victories. They practice gratitude. They create healthy boundaries. They exude compassion and empathy. Their love is unconditional, and they have a healthy self-love and self-respect. And so again, if you're resonating with anything on there, great. And like I said, take a picture of it if you need to, so that you can go back to this and say, okay, what is it on here that I really like, but I have to admit, I'm not quite there yet. So let me think about this and see what can I do for myself to get there? So I love this phrase. If it's important to you, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. Being a coach, there's always you become very sensitive to people making excuses. I've made enough of them in my lifetime. I hear family and friends make excuses all the time. There are some legitimate excuses out there, and then there's some excuses that are just, you know, BS. They're just that. They're just excuses. Inevitably, if something's important to us, we will always find a way to do it. It doesn't matter, you know, we always do. So when somebody says, oh, I didn't have the time, or I can't fit it in right now, or I don't know how to do this, trust me, it's not that important to them. But in this case, what I'm trying to say to you is, if you are important to you, you will find a way. So you will find a way to align yourself and know your truth. So make yourself the important thing. And then what does that mean? Is it your business? Is it a place that you work? You know, like your employment? Be the best version of yourself, regardless. Like, even if the place you work for isn't great, so what? Why lower yourself for them? You just be the best version of yourself, because then at some point you're going to have another job, or you're going to create one, you know? So I love that expression. And so how do we align with our authentic self? Okay, so the first thing that we absolutely need to do is we need to be aware. We need to be aware of, like, ourselves. We need to be aware of what we're thinking, what we're feeling. We need to be aware of how we're responding or reacting to our environment. And, you know, that sometimes isn't the easiest thing to do, because most of our day is on autopilot. We live in our subconscious mind, and our subconscious basically runs about 85% of our day. So that only leaves about like 15% being conscious. So like right now, you're conscious, hopefully, but if you're listening to what I'm saying and then you keep getting distracted by dings on your phone or things that are popping up on your laptop, you're diverting your attention to those things. So then at that any given time, you've lost what was said. So, and I'm not saying to make you feel guilty. You don't have to be listening to me if you don't want to. It's your prerogative, okay? But what I mean is be aware of it. Be aware of, okay, you know what? This is important to me. I wanna be present in this moment. What am I looking at right now? We are not multitaskers. It has been proven with research that we are not capable of that. Our brain is not capable of that. So how do we do two things at the same time? Well, if you notice, if you pay attention, that most of the things that we do that we can couple like that are, one is mental and one's physical. So we're able to drive fine while talking to somebody, because we can put our mind on something else and physically drive, because our body literally is on autopilot. It doesn't think about what we're doing. Our body just does it. So, but if it's a thought, if it's what we're thinking, like if any moment you're thinking about something, you know, this is what I have to do, and I'm really upset about the situation, you are not aware of anything else in front of you. You will walk right by things. So we have the ability to go on that subconscious realm, or in that subconscious realm, for a great reason. You know, we want to be autopilot. You can't think all the time. It's just too exhausting. But if you want to change, if you want to create amidst the chaos that we have right now, or the chaos, then you need to be aware. That's the first step. You need to be aware of who you are. So here is the consideration. So it's about being present. It's about being aware of your surroundings, being aware of yourself, and being aware of how you respond to your environment. So here are some questions for you to answer. And these are the very questions that I give my clients. So the first question, this is the very first session I ever do with them. I will ask them for their homework, who are you right now? So you identify who you are right now. And you need to be truthful about this. Who are you right now? The good and the bad. Who do you want to be? So some of the stuff will translate into, you know, say, well, I'm a good person. That's who I am right now. I know that. And then you say, okay, well, who do I want to be? Well, I still want to be a good person. Okay, that's fine. We're not worried about those things. For those things, we're just going to say, okay, well, if you're a good person now, and then you're a good person, you want to be a good person, how could you level up? Okay. But if you say, well, I'm kind of like judgmental, and I really don't want to be that way anymore. Okay, so who you are now is judgmental, and who you want to be, I don't want to be judgmental. I really would love to be non-judgmental. Okay, fine, you identified it. Then what we need to do is fill in what is in between. How do we get from point A to point B? How do we get from the now to the to be? And this is where the awareness comes in. Being aware of what you're saying, what you're doing, how you're responding, because that's what's going to, if you catch yourself and say, I don't want to be judgmental anymore, and then you catch yourself saying, oh my God, look what that person's wearing. That's a judgment. Okay, wait, I said it. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad at myself. No, don't get mad at yourself. Just, you became aware of it. You stop it. If you're in a conversation with friends and everybody's being a little, catty or whatever, it's, saying something about something, you catch yourself in the midst of it and you're like 3 sentences in and you're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I didn't want to be anymore. No worries. You became aware of it. So you stop it, you redirect it, and you just shut it. And then that's it. Okay. So the other thing is, what does your life look like right now to you? Is it where you want to be? And how does your life feel like to you right now? So when we go deep, we have to feel it. It's not just about like, what do you think about things right now? Thinking about things are great and is a great question, but it's also, you want to ask yourself, you want to level up. You got to go deep. You want to know what you feel about this. So you can think all you want, because our analytical brain is really good at thinking, but it's the deep, like lower levels of our brain is the part that we feel. So if we say, well, I think this is a great idea. Okay, yeah, but what do you feel it though? Like, do you ever do that? You say, you know what, I think this is a great idea. I'm gonna go with this way. But then there's that gut thing that's going on in you. You're like, oh God, like this does not feel right, but you don't say anything. And it just keeps eating at you because it didn't feel right to you. It didn't align properly with you. When you align with your authentic self, those push and pull situations, they are very few and far between, because the moment you think of something, you're feeling, everything will align and you will automatically know the answer. And if you don't know the answer, you'll be able to contemplate it a little bit longer and then come to the right one, or at least ask the right questions or reach out for the right amount of help. Okay, so knowing your truth, okay? I think this and one other thing are very hard for people becoming authentic. It's about understanding who you are and why you are. Blame it on the family. It's always the parents' fault. Why we are the way we are, it's always our parents' fault. Part of it is, I mean, let's, be realistic. It is, like, part of it is that. But you know what? Whatever happened in our childhood, everything is in the past. Whatever's happened, even yesterday, is in the past. So what we need to do is we need to not live in it. We need to acknowledge it, but we need to take, accountability for that. So that's the other piece. That's the next piece. But we need to own it. We need to say, okay, this is the way I am. All right, how did I get this way? Well, it makes sense. I grew up in this household, or, this or that, or these were the experiences that I had. Okay, fine. But what did I learn from this? So understanding who I am and why I am is like a critical piece it was for my self-development. And some of that wasn't easy stuff. It was just, okay, I gotta deal with this. This is, all right, but now what do I do? It's like, okay, if I was massively insecure, which started when I was a kid, how do I get past that? I can sit there and make every excuse in the book. Well, I grew up this way, and and I don't know how to do this. And I got tired of hearing it from myself. I was like, okay, that's enough already. It's like, just get over it. Like, what were the things that were said to me when I was a kid? What were the things that were said to me as an adult? And were they true? Like, there's that expression that says, other people's opinion of you is none of your business. It's like somebody said something bad to you, and then they go, and then you believed it. Who made them right? How do they know? So these were some of the questions that I started asking myself. And I said, okay, you know what? Then I know my truth. I'm insecure. How do I get rid of that? I don't know yet. I'm working on that. But I know that in my to-be, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be insecure anymore. And so I am enough and I am worth it. That's got to be in your vocabulary. And it's not an entitlement thing, and it's not a self-absorbed thing. This is saying to yourself that I am worth the things that I get. I am enough. I keep like drooling on myself. Sorry about that. And I'm just excited about the conversation, so I'm drooling like a dog. Okay. So you say to yourself, like, it's worth it for me to try harder for myself. Like I can go forward, and yeah, you know what? I'm not perfect. That's my truth. Well, you know what? Nobody's perfect. And if you think that people are out there, but like, if you have enough money, you can look perfect, right? But it's interesting because all these people that have all the plastic surgery, there's still the mental part that they never seem to want to work on. So we are not perfect. We are perfectly imperfect. That's the best way to look at it. So anytime that we start to down ourselves and say, oh, I'm not enough, I'm not worth, that person's smarter than I am, so what? So maybe they are, maybe they aren't, maybe it's just what you think they are. But so what? If they are, what can you do about it? Just sit there and complain about it? Or can you say, I'm gonna learn something? And you learn something, right? So this is why it's so important to be honest with ourselves, to admit to your vulnerabilities. I'm not saying to go shout it out, get on Facebook and say, these are the things I'm afraid of, and this is what makes me vulnerable, because there's going to be those awful people that are just going to nail you for that stuff. No, you share your vulnerability with the people that love you unconditionally and that there's no judgment. And, Brene Brown's really big on this. She researched it for years, and she talks about the power of being vulnerable. And for me, I owned it. I actually, because I do so much social media, once I felt comfortable, I just threw myself out there and I put my vulnerability out there. I would talk about it. And what's interesting is what you think is vulnerable. Once you own your vulnerability, it actually becomes a strength. And guess what? It's not a vulnerability anymore. And who knew? Who knew that? Brene Brown talks about the fact that being vulnerable is actually being very courageous. So if you know that, let's say public speaking is not your thing, but you've got to get up there because you want to promote your business, or you're promoting the place that you're working for, and you can get a promotion off of this. You step up to it and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I hate it and I don't like doing it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to be vulnerable. Okay. All right. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up even when you cannot control the outcome. So I love, 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 love that quote. Okay. So here is another writing exercise. And by the way, this is a real lake I think it's in Russia, and that's the actual shape of the lake. Isn't that the cutest thing ever? You could see I'm a big fan of hearts. So, and I have a heart thing. So not enough love in the world. So I'm going to spread it. Okay. So here's another writing exercise for you. What do you like about yourself? What do you love about yourself? What do you dislike? And what do you hate about yourself? I want you to answer these questions, because even though it seems like nothing, I'm telling you they're very profound questions, because one of these categories we can fill up pretty easily, So that's the whole point. If you struggle with one of these categories, that's, why is it? Now, if you struggle with, you say there's really nothing I don't like about I like everything about myself and I don't hate myself. So I like, and these are the things I love about myself. But if you could fill up your love, oh, I love this about myself, then you have to wonder, okay, maybe there is a little bit of, you're a little too, I don't like judging that way, because I think self-love is fantastic. But if that usually doesn't happen too often, most of the time, most people have a lot more on the dislike or even the hate side. If you write this out and you find that you put a little bit more on the dislike or the hate, don't worry about it. Don't freak out about it. All you're doing is identifying it. And then that means that that's going to be a piece that you want to change. So for me, there was one piece of me years ago that I absolutely put on my hate. And I hated that I was very sensitive. I hated it. I cry at everything, anywhere. Even if it's sad, happy, but it's very emotional, I will cry. I used to get made fun of by family members, and I hated it. So I would watch TV shows that I knew were going to make me weep. I would watch them by myself. And I would get into a confrontation with somebody. Instead of getting mad, I'd start crying. So I used to hate this about myself. And I'm literally hate this about myself. Said there was no purpose for it. Why can't I be tough? And then something very profound happened to me is that I realized that my sensitivity allowed me to connect with people that I coached. And even when I do workshops, I could be speaking to a crowd of 150 people and manage to connect with individual people, and they come up to me crying. And not that I want them to cry, it's just that I'm saying that it's that sensitivity ended up allowing me to connect on a level I never would have imagined, and I never even knew existed. So that moved from my hate to my love list, to my love side. And so it was very cool. I was really appreciative of that. But I had to do this to identify, my stuff. Okay. Accountability. All right. Accountability is, taking responsibility for your past and your present for yourself. You know, it's you have to own it. If you did something wrong, you have to admit it. And it sucks sometimes, I'll admit that, you know, but the more you do it, the less you have to own up to the bad stuff. So in other words, you have to be accountable for what you say and do, to not just others, but really for yourself. That's what this is coming down to. So if I say to somebody, I'm going to call you, and I don't call them, you know, sometimes we say that I'll call you and we don't mean it. Like I've made it a habit for myself to not actually say those words unless I actually am going to call them. And if I say to somebody, I'm going to call you, and I catch myself saying it and I let it go, I have to do it. I have to follow through, because I do not want to be that person anymore that makes a promise and doesn't keep it. So if I know I'm busy, I'll say, listen, I'm really busy, but I'm going to connect with you, and we're going to set something up so that we can, you know, we could call each other. It's not saying I'm going to call, it's just saying that I'm going to make the effort to connect with you and figure this out. And that's more realistic a lot of times for me. So it's about taking responsibility for your past and present, even the things that you are not comfortable with taking responsibility for. And again, it's not, you don't have to shout this out to people. This is for you. So you don't have to go and say, oh, I'm accountable for this. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. But there are some instances where you will have to. You will have to go up to somebody and be accountable for your actions. And it's just like a child having to apologize. You know, if they broke something, they have to take responsibility for it and they have to apologize for it. Sometimes the hardest part is being accountable to ourselves. Like I remember having to be accountable to myself for all the really, really bad stuff that I would say to myself, and how I put myself down, and how I just would not let myself go further because I was afraid and I was embarrassed. And I had to take accountability for that. But at the same time, I also have to forgive myself for that, because that wasn't who I was. So, you know, I wasn't who I am now. So I just avoided things. So I had to take accountability for avoiding and then let it go. Okay. So again, what does this have to do with creating through the chaos? It's that when you align with your authentic self, this is where you open. It's like a channel. You open this channel to like the universe or whatever is in your practice. If it's a God, then that's fine. But you open up this channel that allows the flow of this creativity. And especially when we're going to get to this, so I want to shift to this, is what will you do to create all of this? So with choice, you have a choice. You have a choice, just like that mindset of scarcity or mindset of abundance. You have a choice to either be miserable or excited about your life. So what do you choose? You have a choice in your whole entire life. When somebody says, oh, I have no choice, that's not entirely true. There's some times where you don't have a choice, but you have the choice of how you want to respond to it. You know, if you say, well, I had no choice, I had to take that job. Did you really have to take that job? Yes, because I need to pay bills. Okay, great. So you chose to take that job to pay bills, but you could also choose to keep looking for another job that's better for you, that makes you happy, that still pays the money. So what can you do? Do you choose to be miserable in that job, or do you choose to make the best of it? Maybe you pick that miserable job, but then you decide to take a totally different, you know, attitude towards it, and you start coming in happy and you start mingling with people, and all of a sudden you get this opportunity from a higher up that sees your attitude and says, hey, you know what? I like your attitude, and we have this great place opening up in this other area. It's a new building. It's great. I want you to move to that position. Oh my gosh. All of a sudden, it's not a miserable job anymore. So I hear it all the time from people. I see it with my family members and friends where they live a miserable existence, and it brings it to them. Everything miserable keeps happening to them. So it's very law of attraction. Okay. So you choose, you have a choice in your life. So are you going to shift, or are you going to stay stagnant? Okay. Are you going to move it, or are you're just going to stay still? Or so I love this guy's face. So are you going to stay in something that you're miserable, or are you going to shift? Okay. If you don't like where you are right now, then do something about it. If you're overworked right now and you need a break, do something about it. If like right now you feel uncertain, because we keep pushing that, right? In times of uncertainty, I can't stand why they keep saying that. Don't focus on the uncertainty part, focus on what you know. Like, what are the things that you are certain of? You know, if you say, well, I'm certain I'm not going to pay my bills this month. Okay, you're certain of that. But in the meantime, if you know that that's going to happen because your income's not coming in, why worry about it? You know that it's going to happen, so do something else. Like, do something that's productive. Shifting yourself when you feel like you're in that rut. How do you do that? Well, you could do it mentally, but you could also ask people for help. Listen, I'm stuck. I'm like stuck. Right before this call, I was on with a friend of mine who's a coach, and we do a weekly coaching session with each other. But it's like half friend, half coaching. And she called me very frustrated, and she was just really in a very, very bad headspace. And so my goal was to shift her in the few minutes that I had to talk to her. I'm going to talk to her tomorrow, but I want her to get through the night. And in our conversation, she shifted. She phoned a friend, she reached out, you know. So it's not just sometimes what you're going to do for yourself, it's what you can ask for other people, which means that you can also give it to other people. So if you see somebody else needs a shift, help them shift, okay? We definitely don't want to stagnate. That's where we get miserable, when we stay stuck. Do you want to flow or do you want to fail? Okay, so do you want to just keep moving forward no matter what? If something gets in your way, find a way around it. And that's the same thing with shift and flow. That's usually they use them together, shift and flow, shift and flow. Flowing just means having the ease of it. You know, if something feels really hard for you to do, question why that is. Is it you that's making it hard, or is it the situation? Most of the time it's us. And then if we stop making it so hard, we usually flow better. And most of the time, if it is the other thing, we will flow away from it. We will shift away from it and flow in another direction. So just keep that idea in your head of shifting and flowing, shifting and flowing. Or do we just fail? Do we say, that's it, I'm on the ground and I'm not getting up, it's not worth it? Okay, with that, yes, we're gonna flow. Okay, so with that then, do we create or collapse? So, I like this one. How many people feel that way? Like they're just, that's it, I'm on the ground, I'm on the road, the truck can run over me. So do we create or do we collapse? We want to create. If you collapse, if you just become stagnant, if you decide that your life is a failure, you're not going to go anywhere. You have to decide, okay, that's it. You know, why did I get myself here? Why am I here right now? I'm not blaming anybody else. Even if other parties were responsible, you have to take hold of what you're responsible for. The reason my depression was there was because it was a two-party situation. It was a situation that happens between myself and my husband. It was instigated by his bad decisions, but I had to own my place in it. I had to own my part. He wasn't in my life when I was 15 or 20 or even like 30. He didn't come into my life until I was 31. So all the bad choices I made prior to that was all me. And even after that, it was me. So I had to take that and say, okay, I'm done with that. No more. It's a time now for me to create. So let's do this. Okay. So we have a few more minutes left. So let's get rocking and rolling on this. So you have to be courageous and be brave. Don't worry about failures. Don't worry about, you know, some people have a fear of failure, but some people have a fear of success. So any fear in general, it's normal. Everybody's fearful. It's the courageous people that say, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. All right. And again, you're not alone. Every person who's ever done anything in their life, they're scared. But it's just that they handle themselves differently. It was a different choice for them. Take leaps of faith, whether they're big or small. I hear this all the time from clients. They get frustrated because they have these goals set and it's taking forever to get to their goals. And I say, okay, let's take it down a notch. Let's look at the little pieces in between. Are you the same person you were like 5 months ago? No. Okay, there you've reached a goal, but it wasn't on my list yet because you didn't put it on your list. So if your goals are this big, you are reaching goals all the way to get to that end. So we have to celebrate those little victories. It's not just about the big victories, the little victories. Remember, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But the leaps of faith, when we're afraid to take those chances, we're always afraid, oh my God, I gotta take this big leap. Who says you gotta take a big leap? Sometimes not. You know what? Yes, sometimes it's great to leap in the pool because it might be cold and you just take that leap. Listen, I'm not a big leaper into a pool. I don't like cold water. So yep, sometimes I'm putting a toe in and a foot, you know, but I'm going in, period. That's just it. It's like, and then there'll be times where I'm like, screw this, I'm taking too long, I want to just jump. But don't hang up on, well, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it big. Nope. Just don't go backwards. That's the key. If you're going to leap, don't go, oh, I'm jumping back. If you're going to leap, you're going to have to stay there. Even if you leaped in a pile of poo, you just got to stay there and go, okay, I'm in shit right now, but I can leap forward again and I can wipe myself off. Okay. Be open to any and all possibilities. Anything is possible. When I started doing this business, when I said I'm going to coach and I'm going to start speaking and I'm going to do these engagements, I took everything. You want to do this for free? Sure. You want to do this for $50? Sure. I said yes to everything. It's like that movie with Jim Carrey, Yes Man. It's actually a great movie. But it is. It's like you take any and all opportunities in the beginning. And then once you hone your skill set and once you feel comfortable, once you get yourself out there, I'm not just talking about for business, I'm just talking about you in general. That's when you can start being a little bit more picky. There was a better word I wanted to get out there, but it wouldn't come out. So that's when you can become a little more discriminant, right? Discriminant? No. But you can decide what you want, what works best for you, okay? There was some that I took that I was like they wanted me to talk about pain. I don't want to talk about pain. I want to talk about like journey and living and blah, blah, blah. But I took it, and then it ended up getting me other stuff, which was great. And then I became and said, well, listen, I don't really talk about that anymore. So what else do you want to do? Oh, okay. You don't want to talk about that anymore? How about this? Perfect. Okay. Look, always be aware of your surroundings. Look, pay attention. Listen. You never know what you're going to hear. You never know what the subtext is, right? I'm not talking about a text message and what do they mean by that? I'm talking about a conversation going on, a movie you're watching. What is the sub-content there? What are you seeing beyond and hearing beyond? You have to believe that it's possible. You want to turn that fear into fuel. And again, whenever you feel like you can't do it, get help. Whether it's just listening to a video, listening to a podcast, reading a book, listening to an audiobook, talking to a friend that you know is inspirational to you. In addition, isn't that beautiful? That's like an actual thing too. I think that one's in Ireland. I'm all about circles. I love circles. So ask for help, as I was saying. Practice self-care. You got to take care of yourself. Know you are worth it. Be in awe of your unique gifts. And love yourself, love other people. Don't be afraid of it. And give other people permission. Give other people permission to love you, to like you, to want to be around you. Give people permission to be themselves. When you are being authentic and people don't like you, it doesn't matter because that's their stuff. I promise you, like if you are being a really good person and they have a problem with that, then it's not you, it's them. And you just be who you are and nobody can ever say anything against you. Like they can't turn around and say, oh, that person's like that, but in real life, she's really not like that. I've had people say that to me and I'll say, well, or I heard it. I'll say, well, then they don't know me because if they did, they would know that's who I am. Like what you hear and what you're seeing. Listen, I'll admit what you're seeing is a little bit better than usual. Like sometimes, we have our moments, right? So don't wake up with me in the morning. I'm just going to say that. But it's what I'm saying to you is what I live. So if I say to you, I'm here for you, I mean it. Like I said this, I went and spoke at a women's prison in Massachusetts. And it was a fantastic, one of the best public speaking things I've ever done in my life. It was the energy that they had was so fabulous. And I said to them, it wasn't a huge group, but I said to them, I'm in your tribe. You have to have a really good tribe to really help yourself break free of your old habits. And you put me in your tribe. And when you get out, you will ask for my, here's my email. You will ask for my number. Oh no, I gave them my cards. I said, this is for you. You call me. Just remind me where I know you. And I meant it. I wasn't just BSing them to just, sound great. I meant it. And I'm hoping that they call me because I want to help them in any way that I can. Okay. So that's such a great picture. Okay. So here's the key, guys. Be still. If you want to create, you've got to be still. You have to take a pause, you have to take a moment. And I know we don't have that much time, and I wanted to have questions, answer questions if you have them. But if you feel like you're very cluttered and you've got a deadline and you have to do something and you can't think, get away from it. Take a walk, sit down somewhere, get rid of the technology, take the earphones out, don't put your phone on, just sit away from it and be still. I meditate every single day. I do breathing exercises every single day. I sit in my morning, that is my time, because nobody's awake, not even the dogs. And I get up early and I sit and I'm still, and that is my most creative time. In fact, before I actually start my meditation, I sit and allow myself the space to be creative. And I sit with my phone next to me just so I can type what I'm thinking. And I say, okay, you got 15 minutes, go. And I'll close my eyes and all of a sudden something will pop up and I start typing. And then from there, I allow myself that space, the 15 minutes, and I say, okay, that's it. It's time to meditate. And I sit and I'm still. But I do this throughout my day. If anytime I feel like I've got content I have to write, I got to sit and I've got to be still. And some days I can't do it during the day. I have to do it at certain times. So I'll say, okay, I'm not going to worry about this right now. I'm going to do it tomorrow because I'll do it first thing in the morning. But being still is what allows you to be creative. This is why a lot of people have been so creative right now. They've had the time to be still. And what's interesting is I haven't had the time to be still. This has actually got my juices flowing. It pushed me. But I work well that way sometimes, but I have a good balance. I know when to push myself and I know when to say no, and I know when to be still. And that's the real key, is creating that balance in your life. So the only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday, right? Be the best version of ourselves. One thing nobody can do better than you is be you, right? So you be you because you do that best, even if you think you don't. And basically you're amazing. We all are. And so for future, if you ever want to reach out to me, and I mean it, reach out to me. I know Brian's been trying to Brian and I have been trying to get together for like coffee. I need to see his office. It's just been awful. So even a webinar we were supposed to do one. I just remembered this, just 3 weeks ago, we were supposed to just do a Zoom catch up, and we haven't done that. So be persistent. How's that? If you need me, reach out to me. You can call me and text me, whatever you want to do. So thank you for letting me speak. So let me just stop the share. And if anybody has any questions on anything, just feel free to unmute and ask me, or if you think we got it, and I know we're a little past time, so actually we didn't do too badly. Anybody? Nadia, yes, dear.
Hi, Lori. Thank you very much. I do have a question regarding speaking your truth. So earlier you did mention Kim Kardashian and reality TV. I know in the context of which you mean it. However, I have heard it, especially in the reality world, of speaking my truth, as in speaking my opinion, but then trying to make it sound objective, as in if that was the fact.
Okay. Actually, it's not speaking your truth as much as, well, first you have to know your truth. You know who you are. With that comes a mindfulness piece. And actually, Nadia, I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't speak on that mindfulness piece. Being non-judgmental is part of this. When you align with your authentic self, it's about being authentic to yourself, but you also want to give people the space to be that way as well. So there is a fine line about what is an objective opinion and what is a subjective opinion. And if you go to say something and this is the thing, I guess you just quickly analyze in your head, okay, this is my truth and I know who I am. And if I say something, it's going to start something. But if that's the way it's going to work out, then that's what you have the right to stick up for yourself, but you also have the right to allow other people to do that as well. You have to give them the right to do that. So for instance, let's say politics, people are just that's such hot topics with people. And you have one person who's very, very Republican, very Democratic on this side, who's left, who's right, but they're like, that's my truth. That's my truth. I'm this. Okay. But knowing your truth is just, you have to live it. You have to live it that way. Okay. So you honor yourself. If you are if you're a Republican, then you live your life that way. But you also have to give people the space to live their life the way that they want to live it. If you expect somebody to allow you to live your life the way you want to live it, then you have to give somebody else that space. And so if somebody's coming on very opinionated, and that's the challenge I have a lot with reality shows too, is that they make these statements and then they're, quote, what are they called? What's the term that they use for people that, influencers, right? And they're an influencer, and then all of a sudden everybody's, oh, so-and-so said this. And it's like, but if they're latching on to that, then they're not their authentic self either. Like they're like, in other words, whenever somebody makes a statement, I either agree with it or not, but that's all I'm going to leave it at. And if it's really something that I'm strong about, I'll decide what I want to do with that information. So it's not like you have to speak. It's like some people just need to stop talking. Like truly, it's like, we don't really care about your truth. This is my truth. So if you're going to say what you're going to say, then I have the right to say what I'm going to say. And I honor yours. It's like, you have every right to feel that way, but just as I have the right to feel that way as well. So I don't know if that answered it. You know, what I mean about speaking your truth is that if you say you're going to do something, you say it, and then your actions match it. So if you say that I'm going to be a non-judgmental person, I'm saying that, my actions have to follow that. So there are moments where I'm around people where I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't agree with that, but I don't say anything until somebody asks me, you know, and then I'll say in my head, I'm constantly always talking to myself. If I say this, is that coming from a judgmental perspective? And sometimes it does. Sometimes it comes up and I'll feel myself wanting to say something and I'll say, okay, wait a minute, this is way too judgmental. Why is this coming up? Like, where's this coming from me? Why do I feel the need to say that? And I've even said it sometimes. I've said it and I'll say, you know what, actually, I'm going to say that was a very judgmental statement that I made. And I apologize for being judgmental, and I'm going to redirect myself. But it takes practice, you know? So again, I don't know if that fully answered what you were saying. I mean, I hope it, even remotely. Don't judge me. Okay.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Did you anything else? Okay. Anybody else have anything that you want to say?
I was going to ask, so certainly when you're putting together that list, you know, if it's initially or you're re-looking at it and it's really long, how do you start?
Which list is long?
Prioritize or
which list is long? Which one are you talking about?
Like when you're talking about knowing your truth and identifying like what it is that you want to work on, or
like who you are and who you want to be.
Yeah, and there's just like a lot there. Like, do you have any suggestions or resources on like how to break that out and process that a little bit? Because I think it could also be equally overwhelming for people to see all of that at once.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Because even on that, which I didn't include on this conversation, is your want list. Like, what is it that you want in your life? So if you're talking about like, who am I now and who do I want to be, like the person that you want to be, you take it and prioritize it by what is the easiest to attain at this point. Like, so if you say, I can't even think right now. It's like, if there's something on there that you're thinking, okay, this is going to be really challenging for me, you say, okay, what can I do on this list that I can literally implement right now? Like, what can I start? Like, if I say, well, I'm this weight and I want to be physically fit and, you know, be able to run and do this stuff. Okay, that's not going to happen overnight. But what can I do to start changing that? Well, it could start with, I'm not going to have that ice cream tonight. You know, I'm not going to, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm actually going to go on the treadmill. But what on there can you start to create that's smaller? And then, you know, and I like almost can't even imagine what you're thinking of. So in a way, like, you're more than welcome to run it by me. Like, if you want to do that, we can, you know, just set up a call, like friends. and just, you know, say, this is what I was thinking. So what would you recommend? It'd be easier for me to like actually have it in front of me a little bit, you know, to help you. But it's not that hard. It really isn't. Whenever we piece things out, it's so much easier to do them.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
That good?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions or anything else?
Going well.
Here's the last thing I want to say is that I want you guys to know that we have no idea how long this is going to last. We don't know even if we go back, what's going to change. Is it going to resurge? You know, I mean, there's so many things up in the air. All I want you to do is be in charge of you. Like, I want you to say to yourselves, okay, we don't know. There's so many unknowns. What's my known? I'm my known. Okay, what do I know about me? Well, I don't even know that much about me, so I'm an unknown. But if you identify who you are and then say, okay, what do I want to do with all of this? Like, where do I want to go with this? What am I learning here? What have I learned about myself? What have I learned about my neighbors, my friends, my family? What can I create in this? You know, maybe I have a solution for things that are happening right now. Maybe I have a solution for things that I'm anticipating for the future. But these are the pieces that you want to think of and just allow yourself to create. You know, people might have said, oh, well, those are, at another time, those are stupid. Why would you want to create that? Look at what people have done. Like, people have, I mean, some of the things that I had on my earlier slides, I mean, they've had like orchestras playing, each person in a box on Zoom, and they played perfectly in sync to the point where you got goosebumps listening to them. You know, they had teachers jumping in and teaching online and parents jumping in and teaching. And it's like we were forced to do these things, but we did it. And then all of a sudden this creativity came out. How can we do it better? What can we do differently? What if this happens again? How do we prevent it from happening? Like, what can we do differently than we're doing now? And so this is the time really to create, not to like fall down in a hole and just, you know, be controlled by the fear of that unknown. It's time to just basically say, you know what, I'm stepping into the unknown. I'm okay. I'm going to get out of that comfort zone. And I mean, I'm not going to go crazy and just like lick a pole, you know, like outside, like, you know, go to the market and just like, you know, germ myself up. I don't mean that. I mean for yourself. You know, what can I do? What can I learn? There's so many free things happening now. Like, we have so many free seminars. I keep getting them on my emails. This free, you know, masterclass, then go for it. Make the time for it. See if you can record it. A little cheat you can do is some of these master classes only let you go on that one time, and you schedule it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I don't have the time to watch it. And they don't let you watch it again, and then they try to sell you their package. So take a recorder, just record it. Put it on a recorder and record the master class so that if you are not watching it fully or you can't, you know, because you forgot about it, whatever, just set an alarm so you know and just record the thing, and then you have it. I do that all the time because you can't, and some of you can't even rewind. They're like, oh, I missed that, let me rewind. They won't even let you. So there's a little cheat right there. So thank you so much for letting me speak. I really appreciate it. I love your organization. I think it's great. I wish they had something like that when I was your age. It would have been, it's so nice to have the support. That's what we need. You need a tribe. You need people to help you get through the tough times because we all have them. And so, you know, you'd be surprised what people have gone through and the insight they've gained. So never hesitate to do that. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, because you've been so busy. We really appreciate you fitting us in, and we look forward to definitely continuing the conversation. Kevin, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was going to say thank you. And I really enjoyed, this is my first time seeing a presentation, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I hope your sleep cycle gets better. I can help you with that if you need it. I have
we'll
some
see.
tricks.
Well, part of it is, I mean, I'm generally kind of a late night person anyway, kind of like you were talking about the mornings for you. That's exactly how I feel about the night, because everyone else is